Hey everyone, I'm Reagan Weiss along with
Joey Deeb, co-founders
of The Hub.
I'd just like to start off by prefacing this by saying it's not just us. It's all of our core members of this group that make this. We have a lot of people that have worked hard, put their blood, sweat, and tears into this. Can't mention all of them because there's so many, but we love you all.
Yeah, I can't thank you enough for every single one of you, and you know who you are, to be involved with this. And a lot of people are asking, why? Why The Hub? Let me tell you why The Hub. The Hub is a place that not just business owners are going to collaborate. It's where our community members are going to collaborate, where ideas are bounced off of one another. We just want to help people. We want to be there. We want to unify not just our businesses, but we want to unify our community. We don't want to hear about the negativity. We don't want to hear, there are so many other places out there that you could hear about the negativity in our community, and this will not be the place.
Our group can be a basis for so many different resources for so many different trades and industries. It's not just isolated to one specific trade or construction or cleaning or any of that. Everybody can come to the Hub to get actual references from real people using these business and utilizing them to see what kind of experiences they've had.
Now, the key word is collaboration, right? And you see that a lot lately, like collaboration. Well, it really is about collaboration. If I didn't know to collaborate with my friends behind the camera, Jordan Long, if I didn't know how to collaborate with all these other people, all these individuals involved, you wouldn't know about us because of those people. Strength are in numbers. So just like Joey said, it's every industry. We want to hear from how your experiences were with your restaurants. We want to hear your cleaning people, your contractors, your roofing companies. I mean, every industry out there, your masseuses, your salon. We want to hear real experiences from real people. And one more thing, very, very important, we're not going to allow networking. When we say networking, I just want to be very specific on this. And people say, oh, well, you're kind of pushing people away. No, we're not, because there are specific network groups that post and tag people without ever utilizing their business. And we don't want that. We want real experiences.
You're not forced to recommend somebody simply because you're in the same group.
Right.
And that's what we want. And it's not just about business either.
Right.
It's about charity and giving. We want a local hub for events to help people.
We appreciate you. We love you. We thank you. Look for Hub ads on the radio. Look for the Hub bus on the Pasco County Public Transportation System. Look in Facebook and please share this, and let's grow this positive thinking, forward momentum community. We love you, Tampa Bay.
Join the Hub and grow with us.
See you soon.
Hey, Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
BetUS.com. If you guys are betting on the games, whether it's NFL, NCAA, of course, you're not going to do that now. Maybe basketball, not football. But, of course, the NHL, NBA, go to BetUS.com. You get a 125% sign-up bonus. And also, if you use this code right here, the promo code of TSW22, which, by the way, stands for the sports web, TSW22, or call that number 1-800-69-BET-US. Again, 1-800-69-BET-US, and put in that promo code TSW22, and I would really appreciate that.
I've had 27 beers spilled on me. Make that 28.
I've only got one place to go before the game.
BetUS.com.
Sign up at BetUS.com and get the best bonuses in the industry.
Say Texas.
Merry Christmas. Say, I love football. Say this. Say Tampa.
Tampa.
Bay.
Tampa.
Bay.
A.
Tampa. Tampa. Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. Say Tampa.
Tampa.
Bay. Bay. Oh my God, she's so smart and she's so precious. I love her to death.
what's going on? Welcome back to another edition, your Monday night edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about live here on I Love St. Pete, the hub, and now a new broadcasting platform, Amped Up Sports, with Leo Haggerty running that, along with Trace Crisp. So a lot of things in the future, once again, for the Evolution of Sports Talk Television that we're going to definitely be able to do here on this show. But how do we start it off tonight? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have JP Peterson of the JP Peterson Show on FanStream Sports, Lightning Vision. We'll be talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, getting into that situation as the soap opera continues with Tom Brady. Is he going to come back? Is he not? What's the reason he left the Buccaneer organization? If there is a reason, we'll get into that. We'll have Leo Haggerty on. And I'll tell you what, I was going to do an intro, but let's go out to the phone lines. Let's see if we can get him on. Welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. You're leading it off tonight here on the Sports Web. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Rick calling from Newport Richey.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
Doing good, buddy. Doing good. Doing real good. Well, how do you want to start off this show?
The only way that I can see how is about Tom Brady.
Yeah, okay. Go for it.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on as far as these rumors are going on, as far as him not either having issues with Arians, or he had issues with the organization as a whole, or whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, I think that stuff can be worked out, whatever that may be.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't see it being something major. The way I look at it is this: the bottom line is that Brady's going to be 45 years old. Okay, we all know that. He wanted to play till he was 45. You can only really go by the things that he said that came out of his mouth that we know.
Sure.
One is that he wanted to play till he was 45. Another thing he said is that he didn't want to leave the game when he felt he still could play at an elite level, because he didn't want to have things later on, a year from now or whatever it is, that he says, oh man, I could have been there, or I could have been better than this guy, whatever the case. He left the game at an elite level.
Right.
His last touchdown pass was an incredible touchdown pass to Mike Evans over the best cornerback in the game. Okay. He came back from a 27-3 deficit to tie the game, and they could have won it if it wasn't for a misstep on defense. Because I really believe if it had gone into overtime, this team would have won. So there's no doubt they could have been in the Super Bowl, and if they were, they would have won. There's no doubt in my mind. So either way, he's still playing at an elite level. He was playing at an MVP level. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If he decides to come back, okay, which there's no real reason why he wouldn't. I can't see him, like Gronk saying, taking a couple of years off and then coming back, because then you're looking at coming back at 48, 49, and you've been away from the game for a few years. You're definitely not going to be up to speed, and you're definitely going to be down as far as I'm concerned. The only way for him to come back is if he comes back this year, because he's still capable of doing it at an MVP level. Now, if he does come back, we own his rights. Therefore, there would have to be some kind of a trade or something like that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The only team I can even see this possibly being for is, like they said, maybe the 49ers. But think about it. At the end of the day, the 49ers said no to him when he came out the first time. He came to the Bucs as a secondary option.
Correct.
Because his dream team
Correct.
did not want him.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
And number two, why would they bring him in when they spent all that capital on a quarterback that's supposed to be starting for them this year? They're going to tell him, no. I know we promised you this year you were going to be the guy, and you came in spots last year to get ready, and this was supposed to be your year, but we're going to push you back another year so we can bring in Brady, because we don't trust you and we trust him to win a Super Bowl. I don't see how that's going to sit well with your franchise quarterback, and why would you regress for one shot, 1 year to do that? For Brady, it's all about what's going to be the easiest path to the Super Bowl for him. Why not come back to the team that you are still on, the team that you know the system, that you know all the players, and you know we can still, even though we have some free agents out there, we are still going to be able to put together a Super Bowl caliber team to give you one last shot to ride off into the sunset. To me, that makes the most sense of everything.
You're absolutely right, and I agree with everything you said. I tell you what, we're about to get JP Peterson on, or the JP Peterson Show, so if you want to call back and use that second call, I'd definitely like to talk about this, but this is going to be a great interview, because This man right here, he does a show every day on FanStream Sports, and also was talking to people around the league about this. In fact, we're going to play an interview of where it kind of substantiates that there was trouble in that organization. All right. So just call back, hang on, and keep on watching. Thanks a lot for the call, man. I appreciate you. All right.
You got it. Take care.
All right. Good stuff there. We start off. I tell you what, let's get out to this guy because more times than not, when we get him on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, there's usually some fireworks. And then on top of it, you learn something. JP Peterson of the JP Peterson Show, FanStream Sports. Welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. And I got to ask you, first and foremost, you were down at Radio Row. What was that like? What was the Super Bowl experience like? Welcome to the Sports Web.
Oh, man, it was LA, and it wasn't great, to be quite honest with you. It was I thought it was a weird game, and Radio Row was weird. LA is basically a lawless tent city. Homeless people everywhere. I have a lot of compassion for the homeless people, but to hold a Super Bowl in this area, and the fans from Cincinnati couldn't even get tickets. They were too expensive because everybody wants to, be seen at had to be seen at the Super Bowl. There were no fans around. We were there Tuesday through Friday. I saw maybe 2 Bengals fans, a few Rams fans. The Rams held a pep rally. Nobody showed up on Monday. It was weird. It just didn't feel like a Super Bowl. And we've had Radio Row, Peter, I swear, by the way, great to be on. I always say that right before everything. Yeah. Great show. I love your show.
Thank you.
It was weird, though. It wasn't like normal Radio Row. We've had more Hollywood stars come to us in Dallas or Miami or Atlanta and other Radio Rows I've done. I saw Anthony Anderson. That was about it. There were a lot of, there are big names in football and sports, but normally you get people pushing their movies and all this stuff. It was like nothing like that. It was just kind of a weird vibe. We thought that it would be a mask police everywhere. There wasn't. They weren't enforcing the mask mandates anywhere, which is great. They don't work anyway. But kids going to school still had them.
Right.
It was just weird. It was just weird. We walked down from the elevator. We went to get in the elevator in the parking garage. Day one, right? Elevator doesn't work. At the parking garage, right across where all the media is going to Radio Row. That's number one. You get into the stairwell. There's like 3 homeless people sleeping in the stairwell, defecating. It smelled horrible. And it was terrible. Bring it back to Tampa. It was like a third world country, bro. I'm just being honest.
We did some Radio Row together. We were down in Miami, and this is 2010, and I believe
I'm sitting with Chris Rock and David Spade.
Yes.
It's like Sugar Ray Leonard, Hugh Jackman. Nothing in Hollywood. We're right there in Hollywood. We're right across from LA Live, which was LA Dead. There was nobody there. You wouldn't, except for all the little trinket shops in downtown LA, you wouldn't even know there was a Super Bowl. I'm telling you, it was bizarre.
That's crazy. It's a crazy situation. We're all again with JP Peterson of the JP Peterson Show every morning, 10 to 12. I always tune in on FanStream Sports, Facebook, YouTube platforms. I got to set the table here because all these rumors have been coming out the last couple of weeks, but I got to pat you on the back because you kind of had it first. I'm going to put you in the lobby. We're going to play this interview with Solomon Wilcots from NFL Media, and it kind of sets the table of what we're going to talk about here on the Evolution. Stand by, right?
Yep.
All right, here we go. We're going to go out to this interview here from the JP Peterson Show. We'll get him back on. We'll talk about the Brady situation once again here on the Sports Web. Here we go.
When it was all said and done, if you think Tom Brady's retirement, listen, I know he's going through his own process, but on the scale had to be how this season had to be more tiring.
Yeah.
It had to be more worrisome because by the end, remember last year, they let Tom do Tom.
Yeah.
They gave him everything he did. He needed to run what he wanted to run.
Yeah.
And now it's as if at the end of the year, they're taking it all back. They're doing things differently offensively, not allowing Tom to have complete control. Hey, let's try this. Let's do this. it had to be tiresome for him.
Well, we've heard these stories,
right?
and we're not going to go into all the details. You and I have talked about this, but there is something there. You know, Levante David said there was turmoil. Seth Wickersham, confidant of Brady, said it was harder in the building.
It was harder.
People knew. You've heard the same things. And so that's why I say maybe Brady isn't done. Maybe this is Brady's message to the Bucs that says, look, we're either going to do it my way or we're not going to do it.
They let him do it his way, and he won him a championship. You would think that would be like money in the bank. That buys you equity to get more of your way than someone stepping in and saying, no, let's not do that. What do you mean? Let's not do that. We've already proven it works. So listen, I always enjoyed watching Tampa. I love the Bucs, love the way it all came together. In year 2, it should have been easier,
right?
Not harder.
All right, welcome back to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. So these rumors came out. You got this interview. Pewter Report picked it up, our friends there, and they were exactly right. And now you hear this former teammate, and I want to pronounce his name correctly, Rich Ohrnberger.
Ohrnberger, yeah.
It was saying in so many words when BA was rehabilitating his Achilles, that Byron Leftwich and Brady were putting together a plan, an offensive game plan, and then he was coming back and basically marking it out. And that's the reason why Brady could possibly be retiring. That's why it was so hard in that building if you were turmoil. I mean, where do you stand on this with hearing what you're hearing with all these reports coming out? I mean, it seems like there could be some substance to it, right?
Well, what's interesting is the Ohrnberger tweet about the red line and the game plans is almost verbatim what I heard at the Super Bowl from 2 other people. Credible sources, by the way. Albert Breer, another credible source, came out today and said that he was hearing the same things in certain reports. Now, this could be the same source that is giving this up. And just in the recent past, if you kind of connect the dots, Tom Brady Sr. is connected to a lot of these, Seth Wickersham and some of these others. Mm-hmm. So it may be him talking about it. Now, Arians came out today or yesterday in the Stroud article and flatly denied all of it. And, I know Bruce and I believe him. I don't think that he was necessarily redlining, like, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. There's always a version of there's different, it's like playing telephone, right? You're always going to get a different version of what's happening. I think what happened is, Brady and Leftwich have been putting together these game plans the way they normally do it. And then Bruce comes in and he adds to him. That's what he was saying. He adds to him. He's the head coach. He has every right to do that. I mean, absolutely. Now, I kind of use this analogy on my show today. If you're a parent like I am, you come in and you talk to your kids about some stuff and blah, 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 right? And they've been working on stuff or doing things. And, as soon as you leave the house, leave the room, what do? They roll their eyes. Oh, okay. And I can see Leftwich and Brady, like, BA comes in after they put stuff together and, they may not agree with some of his changes or his additions. They're going to roll their eyes. This happens probably in every locker room. Is it the reason he retired? I don't think so. I think the reason he retired is because of the pull of his family. Is it part of the reason that there was some turmoil, as Levante David said? Was there a rift? I mean, call it what you want. It wasn't all, unicorns and lollipops, I don't think. But it's that way in almost every locker room, okay? I think Brady, frankly, is kind of used to now being here and getting what he wants. And here's the other thing that I was told is that the AB situation was a flashpoint, okay? And that Brady didn't necessarily like the way that Bruce handled that. Okay. And again, Bruce is denying this and others. So, this is all hearsay stuff. I'm not here reporting this like I definitely know this happened. This is all speculation. These are things that you're hearing. Nobody wants to go on the record because you're going to be taking on the head coach or taking on Tom Brady. Nobody wants to get in the middle of that, right? So I understand that. We're just trying to get a picture of what's going on. We're speculating, all right? Bruce says it didn't happen that way, that the relationship is fine, or it's certainly not toxic enough with that's why he retired. So, I mean, you got to take that at face value. I think Bruce has always been very, very – now, he's not going to come out and say, we were at each other's throats, or he may not even know that there was tension. He may not even know that when he left the room, they were rolling their eyes if they were doing – you know what I'm saying? So I think there's a lot of stuff at play there. Was there a quote rift where there's some disharmony? I think there's no question about it. Levante David said it. Other people have said it. I was told at Super Bowl that this is all going to come out eventually.
Sure.
So we'll wait and see if somebody wants to go on the record about it. I think there was turmoil? Yes, I think there was turmoil. I think there was some disharmony. I think there was some disharmony over the way the AB thing was handled. And let me say this. If Tom Brady is pissed off that BA got pissed off on the sideline because AB wouldn't go back in the game, he's wrong. Now, he's being myopic because he wants AB to be a target. He'll be better when he's on the field. The coach has to think about the team as a whole. You can't have one guy saying, I'm not going to go in the game and yelling and screaming at halftime, get me the rock, and then he doesn't go back in the game. What's he supposed to do? Leave him on the sideline to be a bigger distraction? No, get the hell out of here. Get that. So what BA did was right. And if Tom is upset about that, Tom's wrong. He's wrong.
Yeah.
And you know what? We have to say that. He's a 7-time Super Bowl champion. I get it. He knows how to win Super Bowls. I get it. He's not the one that's in charge of the culture of the team. That's the head coach. And if you have one player that's not, team first, and we heard Mike Evans say the other day, that's what happened. It wasn't about his ankle, that stuff that, AB still pushing that stupid narrative that I'm sure some reporters will give credibility to, and it has zero credibility. Look at the tape. It wasn't about his ankle. I don't care how many x-rays he shows. It wasn't about his ankle. He wasn't seriously hurt. And BA wasn't trying to force him back into the game when he was injured. That's all bullcrap, all right? This was about him wanting the rock and not going back in the game. And BA was right. So if Brady retired because of that, okay, fine.
Well,
what are you going to do?
I'll take it a step further, JP. I think, when the vax card, the fake vaccination card came out, I think BA wanted to get rid of him.
I think he did too.
I think there's a possibility that Brady went over him. And then when Brown was kicked off the team, that kind of had a little bit of friction. Once again, we're on with JP Peterson on the JP Peterson show, Fan Stream Sports, every day, 10 to 12 every morning, I should say. And, of course, Lightning Vision with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Got to love that team. Antonio Brown took to social media. He had this to say. He said, they tried to hurt me, saying the Bucs intentionally put me out there after knowing I was still hurt. After he went on the HBO interview and said Brady is his guy, this is also what he had to say. Tom said he would throw it if I came to play hurt. I came. He didn't throw it. Imagine being hurt, having to play through this and being lied to. By the way, JP, 5 targets before he decided to have a conniption fit on the sideline.
Tied for the most.
And then he says, coach said, if I couldn't run on this, get the F out of here. So I'm so glad they turned the page on him. And with that being said, the reports are the Bucs looking into Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. I don't think the Watson situation happens because if you look recently, not only the 22 allegations off the field, but those are 10 criminal. And it seems like right now the justice system is kind of dragging their feet.
Yeah.
So Russell Wilson, do you think Wilson is a fit for this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team? Why or why not?
I think from a football standpoint, he's a great fit. I mean, he's one of the best deep ball throwers in the game. This is a down the field offense. He throws with anticipation. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks. Yes, he does work out of the pocket, but that's only a bonus if you ask me. You could put more RPOs in. You can put more zone reads in. It's an extra benefit with him. Now, he's not necessarily what Brady is in terms of orchestrating, great comebacks. But, of course, he's done that as well. He's not quite at the Brady level. Nobody is. But he's as close to it as anybody in the league in my estimation. So I think that's a great fit. Now, for Seattle, it's going to be tough because I think if they trade him, they're going to take a $33 million cap hit this year. So it'd be more likely to trade him next year if they were going to trade him. That team is for sale. If the sale goes through and new owners come in, will they want to do a rebuild? I would think so. That team's not going anywhere with Russell Wilson. The roster needs to be overhauled. They don't have a first round pick. You're just wasting his years, in my opinion, if you just continue to do that. So to Seattle. But, of course, Pete Carroll's not going anywhere at 70 years old. Does he want to, be the guy who rebuilds this team? I doubt that.
Right.
But I think if they're just trying to hold on and rebuild this team without draft picks and without a whole lot of cap space, what are you going to do? To me, it's just futile. You're just going to be in that middle zone, that middle ground, which is death. You never get a high pick. You never get to the Super Bowl. You're just muddling in the middle. So, I mean, it's a kind of up to Seattle. If they come to their senses, I think, they could get a lot of picks. And if I'm the Bucks, I'll give 2 first-rounders. Hell, I'll give you 3 first-rounders if you want. My next 3 first-rounders, because that's how long he's going to play here. And to get a quarterback of that level, I'm fine with it, because those picks are going to be 27. They're going to be in the 20s, maybe the 30s, So that's fine with me. And if you need a couple of players to fill out your rosters, we could probably do that too. The Bucks do have a good roster. They've got some talent. They can give up draft picks. And here's the other thing: Russell Wilson has a no trade clause, and he's not going to, just because other teams can give them more and higher picks, doesn't mean he's going to agree to go to that particular team. So that's where there's kind of some fly in the ointment. Does it get done? I think as of yesterday, Vegas had Russell Wilson as the odds-on favorite to come to Tampa Bay. So we'll see. It's all up to Seattle. If they decide rightly that they need to rebuild, their best asset to get picks is Russell Wilson. And if I were Seattle, that's what I would do. I wouldn't worry about playing the Bucks this year, because you're rebuilding anyway, right? If you sell Russell Wilson. So I don't think that comes into it. You rebuild, you understand you're going to lose a lot of football games, but you're getting the picks and you're starting to get back to the top. So it's up to Seattle. Deshaun Watson, I agree with you. His legal issues just seem too much. And I know that the Bucks have kind of, they've brought an AB on. They brought some other players of somewhat questionable character on. But I don't see Darcy Kasowitz, Glazer Kasowitz going to bat or agreeing to have a guy with 22 counts of sexual assault against him. It just seems a little much to make that guy literally the face of your franchise.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm sorry. I've always loved Deshaun Watson. This thing has come out of nowhere for me. I can't believe it's true. From what I know of this man, of great character, great football player, got drafted way too low. It's just one of the weirdest things ever. It just doesn't fit his demeanor or his character that we knew, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, look, if it's not about the off the field stuff, it's a slam dunk at the end of the day, because of the talent. He's 26 years old. You have a quarterback potentially for the next 10 to 15 years. Last question, because I know you got to run. I appreciate you taking your family time out here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Old friend here, JP Peterson of FanStream Sports. Out of these choices, Carson Wentz, Jimmy Garoppolo, or the return of, and this has gotten a lot of criticism, a lot of controversy, half of the fan base likes him, half doesn't, Jameis Winston. Who do you go with?
Ooh, I mean, after you've eaten at the buffet of Tom Brady, you just gave me the Golden Corral, Hey, and trust me, I love me some Golden Corral, but
who doesn't? But the
other option
for it. Right.
The other option is the Ritz brunch. I'm going to Ritz. I'm going to the Ritz.
Right.
Get an omelet station. But I think the most likely would be Garoppolo, because evidently, all the other rumors are that Brady wants to play in San Francisco. We have his rights. And if it comes down to it, there's no way that they can repair or do whatever they can to get Brady back here. You're going to get something for him. Supposedly they want a first-round pick for Garoppolo. I think that's madness. I don't think anybody would do it. But, I think it's better than Trask or Blaine Gabbert. And, as much as I think Jameis could work here, I don't think BA has the stomach for it, to be quite honest. I'm not sure the Glazers do either. I still love Jameis. I think he's a good guy. I think he's changed a lot. He's matured a lot. Hell, he was playing really well in that Sean Payton system. 14 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions, and he was on his way to torching the Bucs in that game.
Yep.
So I think maybe the LASIK, the knee surgery, sitting behind Drew Brees. I think he could be a good quarterback in this league. I really do, in the right circumstances. But I just don't see him as coming back here. Too polarizing, I think.
Yeah, I think so too, but he does know the system. And look, we know how complicated this system is for a first-year quarterback. So to me, that's the advantage at this point, and I favor him over Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo. But you look at statistics with Garoppolo throwing the ball down the field, and this is, I believe, Warren Sharp pointed this out, Joe Bucks fan and care of it, said, he is not very good when he throws the ball over 20 yards. Well, what do we know about BA? This is risk it, no biscuit. You got to throw the ball down the field, and you have to have some accuracy. And let's face it, the reason why the 49ers aren't Super Bowl champions just 3 years removed from beating the Kansas City Chiefs, because he could make that key throw in the fourth quarter deep. Great stuff, Peterson. As always, go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend.
Thanks, Peter. It's always good to be on. Love your show. We are on 10 to 12 live every day. You can get us on YouTube. Just Google it or search it on YouTube, JP Peterson Show. Please subscribe so we can get to that paywall.
Yes.
Also, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
We're also on Twitter Live. We're on my Facebook Live, JP Peterson. You can go there. FanStreamSports.com is our website. You can always listen live there. We have an app, FanStream Sports. Just download it. Very simple app. Doesn't take up much of your storage. We don't message you anything. We don't share your data. It's just for listening to the show. You can hit it anytime and listen to the show. So you don't have to just listen 10 to 12. It's there, available as a podcast on Apple and Spotify. So subscribe there. We're all over the place. I think we had 50,000 listening sessions last month. So we're numbers are really going through the roof. We really appreciate everybody listening. And I appreciate you bringing me on, because listen, we're breaking news. We're talking about things other people won't talk about. We give you a different perspective than you get other places. Trust me on that. And we're having fun. We're having fun, just like you. Podcasts, live streaming, the way to go. You don't have to sit through 8-minute commercial sets. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
8 minutes. Who's listening through that?
Nobody. Nobody. I mean, look, I love to have commercials and make money, but at the end of the day, people want sports talk. They want it now. I think that's the beauty.
I mean, we have breaks, but they're 2-3 minutes long. That's it. Oh, you could stand that, right? 8 minutes? Are you kidding me?
I can't do it.
Hey, you got to pay all those fat cat salaries over there, man. Those guys are making tons of money. You gotta, or maybe not. Somebody else is getting that money. Somebody is.
Good stuff, my friend. JP Peterson of the JP Peterson Show, FanStream Sports, every morning, 10 to 12. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television.
Thanks, Peter. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right. There you go. Yeah. And like I said, I'll make this a Monday night occurrence where he comes on, because I love talking sports with the guy. And the guy knows what he's talking about. And I know there's people out there that say, he doesn't know it. No, he knows what he's talking about. He's been in this business for years, locally. So, all right, speaking of a guy that locally has been in this business for years, and we got something to talk about, let's go ahead and get his intro on. Here we go. All right, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports, Mr. Leo Haggerty. And let's go ahead and talk about this venture, because Saturday I got an opportunity to go to my first college basketball game. Welcome once again to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Can you tell everybody out there what Amped Up Sports is all about, my friend?
Well, you know what, Peter? We decided to branch away from It Sports Magazine, and Amped Up Sports is going to be a sports for sports fans, basically. Mm-hmm. And, we're going to cover, as Rob Crete says, we are going to have a local push with a national perspective. We're going to cover the USF sports. We're going to cover the Bucks. We're going to cover the Bulls. We're going to cover the Buccaneers. We're going to cover the Lightning. We're going to cover the Orlando Magic if we can get down there. So we're going to push the local area, but we're also going to talk about what's going on nationally, because you just can't ignore that. That's sports, and that's what Amped Up Sports is going to be. It's going to be for the sports aficionado. There's our SAT word early.
Love it, Leo Haggerty. And like I said on the Facebook post, every time I get with this guy and Trace, you guys putting this together and inviting me on it, it seems like the Sports Web is on location. So, to me, I feel like eventually, who knows, maybe we're talking about credentialed media here, the Sports Web, the Evolution, all these fans, all the web heads. I'm just saying other sports here locally. We'll see what happens here in the future, but very excited. And as I always say here, you're a legend in this business. And I feel like you're a grandpa, like the grandpa I never had, because I always learned something from you. And then on top of it, we always have a good time and we're always eating right. And I tell you right now, this is not about food, but I'm hungry. I'm hungry to expand the Sports Web. I'm hungry to get out there in these events, cover USF, cover the Tampa Bay Lightning, cover the Tampa Bay Rays, cover the Orlando Magic, and of course, cover the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And let's lead it off with that. What are your thoughts on these rumors coming out about Tom Brady, BA, some friction there, a former Patriots player saying the reason why is because BA was marking out things after Brady and Byron Leftwich tried to put this stuff together? I mean, what do you make of this whole situation with all these rumors and reports?
Media mongrels, Peter. I don't think we have anything happening there. And again, let's start with the first line. Is Tom Brady coming back? If he comes back, it will be for the Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's talking about he's going to San Francisco. If you're talking about Russell Wilson worth 2 number ones, what's Tom Brady worth? 3?
Right.
Maybe 4?
Right.
And if the Buccaneers want to go down that road, they control his rights for another year. Whether he retires this year, next year, comes back in 3 years, they still hold his rights for a year. I don't think San Francisco has that kind of draft capital to throw 3 number one. And the Bucs can play real hardball with this. And they'd be crazy if they didn't, because let's say they go down the Deshaun Watson, they go down the Russell Wilson road. That's going to cost you 2 number ones, maybe more.
Mm-hmm.
You can recoup those quickly by getting 2 or 3 number ones for whoever wants Tom Brady's services.
Right. I mean, to me, and people go, well, you get Brady what you want, but at the end of the day, as I'm telling family members who are asking me about this and other people in the know, look, the Bucs still own his rights, contractually. So they haven't put him on the reserve list. They're still holding out hope. But I think eventually, Leo, you're going to have to turn the page, and it has to happen in the next couple of weeks, because you don't want to be hamstrung, if you will, by Brady. I get it. You're holding out hope, but you don't want to miss out on some of these quarterback options, namely a Russell Wilson, possibility of a Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, if you're the Bucs, are you trading Tom Brady for Jimmy Garoppolo straight up? You got to add a couple first round picks, right?
Not a chance. Not a snowball's chance in hell, Peter. That's happening.
Okay.
If the Buccaneers are going to get draft capital, it's going to be 2 number ones minimum for Tom Brady. Minimum.
Right.
And I'm thinking more 2 1s and 2 2s, or 3 1s and a 2. The Buccaneers are holding all the cards here.
Yeah.
And again, I hear fans talking about, well, Brady gave him a Super Bowl, they should let him go. Oh no, that's not how the game's played. This isn't LeBron James and the NBA, where the player dictates what happens. In the NFL, the organization still controls what happens. And you're going to have to pony up a whole lot if number 12's coming out of retirement and going someplace other than Raymond James Stadium.
Agreed. I want to read these comments really quick and when we get back to it. Antonio says, what's up? What's going on? Troy Polamalu King. Troy, Brady quit on the Bucs. End of story. I mean, Troy keeps on saying this. Brady didn't quit on the Bucs. The reason why he retired, more than likely, the majority of the reason, is because of his family. And like you talked about, there were times last year, whether his offensive line was giving him time or not, that he looked like a 44-year-old quarterback. Can you set Troy here straight, please?
Well, yeah, Peter, I'm going to go back to the hypothesis. There's no SAT word.
Wow, just full of it.
That I gave last week in saying that I think it was a 2-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
That Brady came down and said, hey, I'll give you 2 years. Anything after that, we got to negotiate. We got to talk about it. I got a feeling Giselle may have said, hey, Tom, I gave you 2 years. Time to come home. It's for God's sakes, they don't need the money.
No,
that's
they
for
don't.
sure. They don't. But the problem Tom Brady's running into right now, and again, I can speak to this being retired. You got a lot of time on your hands now.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of going in and watching film at 6 a.m, instead of going out and working out, instead of going out and throwing with some of your guys at a high school facility, he's home.
Yeah.
And that's it. That is a big change because all of a sudden, and again, Ken Podolak talked about this. He said, if you don't have something, it's a long, bad retirement.
Mm-hmm.
He's 44 years old. If all he's going to do is sit around the house and read and do a little Sudoku or and end up calling DoorDash for lunch.
Does Tom Brady do chores? I mean, does he take out the trash? Does he clean?
No, he's got children. You got children to take care of. That's why you have children, Peter. You don't know that yet.
No, I don't.
Once they hit 10 years old, when you hit double digits, you're doing the trash, you're cutting the lawn. Wake up, big boy.
Put him out to work. We're on with the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty of Night Sports Productions. Amped Up Sports here, live on the Sports Web on I Love St. Pete and the Hub. And we're also on the Amped Sports channel. Again, like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube here. Let's talk about it. I mean, Deshaun Watson, it comes out today. It looks like, more and more this situation is not going to clear itself up. I get it. A lot of people like it. It just doesn't seem like, and to me, it's going to be in the cards. And I get it. The Texans want to get rid of him, but they're asking for a lot. And then on top of it, the uncertainty off the field kind of clouds it up.
Peter, again, if this was as bad as people are making it out to be, why is it taking so long?
Yeah, well, there's 10 criminal complaints. So,
Peter, those are handled quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if this would have happened, why is it taking so long?
Right.
Why is he not behind bars? Why is he not in front of a jury?
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't want to say or make a story out of a story, but like JP said, there's no priors on this guy. We're not talking about a guy. He came in to this league squeaky clean out of Clemson.
Yeah.
And that just a picture of what you want a scholar athlete to be. He got his degree. He did it in 3 years. He came to the NFL. And now all of a sudden this comes out. It doesn't make sense. Now, again, being a single guy today, Peter, you know and I know, it's not a pleasant situation to be out there and trying to date and be on that island, so to speak,
right?
Where we're just trying to, have some social interaction, whatever. And
well, to that respect, I mean, look, he's a multimillionaire. Okay, he's a starting NFL quarterback. The massages, I get it. He's got a sore body. He's hit a lot, but you don't put yourself in those situations and you're flying. I mean, it's so absolutely odd. And I understand where you're coming from because I am a single man, but I don't put myself in those situations. People go, well, do you wear your Rolex everywhere? No, I don't. You know why? Because you can't trust everybody. You walk into a club, somebody will try to, jerk it off of your wrist. So you got to pick the places and you got to put yourself in those situations. You got to put yourself in good situations, not bad situations. And I feel like he's putting himself in a bad situation. I don't know how to put this because it's just the whole case is odd and it's disappointing because if it weren't for the off the field stuff, the guy is highly talented. I just don't know if he's going to play this year. What do you make of the scouting combine? Because there was some controversy in the last hour here, though. And what they were saying is, none of the participants could go anywhere. It's like a bubble situation. Now the scouting combine has advised all their participants will be permitted to exit the secure combine areas during free time in your schedule at your own risk. Players who prefer to remain in secure areas will be permitted to have approved medical support personnel. And of course, there were 157 players, 14 agencies that were not going to show up. So what do you make of this situation when it comes to having a bubble when you're doing a combine? Come on now.
Peter, I'm going to be brutally honest with you on this. If someone comes to me and I'm an owner and says the reason we want to draft this guy is because what he did at the combine, I would fire the guy on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
All the combine is a spring break for the coaches that are going there.
Correct.
They just want to get away. Nothing they do at the combine is football related. I'll give you an example. When's the last time you've seen anybody run 40 yards straight down the field? When's the last time you've seen a receiver catch 3 balls in one route? When's the last time you've seen an offensive lineman run 5 yards one way, 10 yards the next 5 yards? It's all about what are we going to compare to a guy to another guy? And again, I go back to Mike Mamula. The guy went in there and bench pressed like 1 million times, 225 pounds. Guy couldn't play a lick. And you got to go to film. Film is what you want to look at. The only thing you would use the combine for is the personal interview. That's all they need to. If I'm an agent, that's all I'm going to have the kid do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do anything else. Why would I want to jeopardize the integrity of my player that I'm representing and trying to get the most money for by putting him out on a field where nothing there relates to football?
It's crazy because every year it's one of the most watched events, but it's so overrated because you said it best. I mean, most of the scouts and most of the GMs are going to watch the tape on the football field, and yet it's made a big deal about the 40 and this and that and the other thing. So, with all that being said, you've been a part of combines before. What was the craziest combine you were a part of and situation where you saw a drop prospect go from a later round to a mid round or even the first or second round because he had a good combine and you were shaking your head like, why?
Peter, I'm going to tell you, we were allowed in to where they did heights and weights.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys come out in shorts. That's all it is.
Right.
Nothing else. Pair of shorts.
Right.
Leonard Davis, the offensive tackle from Texas.
I remember this.
Came out, and you could hear everybody just go, oh, this was a physical specimen. 315 pounds with a 28-inch waist. I'm going, what the heck are we looking at here?
Right.
This is the Black Adonis.
Okay.
Everybody looked at him and said, okay, he's just moving up the draft board because that's what I'm looking at. I've seen some players that have moved up just by Charlie Batch is an example who was in there, came in and from a mid-major school. First thing he did in the huddle is he told some Division I superstar, hey, shut the hell up. This is my huddle. I mean, okay, this kid's taking control.
Right.
And it was something that you saw. What you see a lot of, Peter, is the guys that are down the draft board that move up from maybe 7th round to 5th or 4th round.
Mm-hmm.
And again, keep in mind, and I learned this from Carmen Perone, who was the chief scout for the New Orleans Saints. First round, you got to play. Unless it's a quarterback. You can sit the quarterback.
Sure.
But everybody else has to play. Second round has to contribute. Has to be your posse wide receiver. Has to be your nickel corner. Has to be your rush edge guy in passing situations. Peter, third round down, you're looking for depth. If you're looking for starters in the third round, you're a bad football team. Don't tell me that the New England Patriots said, oh, hey, wait a second. Here's Tom Brady with the 199th pick. He's going to be our starter. He's going to be the greatest NFL player in the history of the game. No, not happening. Rondé Barber, same thing with the Bucks. They got him late. And again, they didn't expect to get that out of him. But Rondé was active for only one game his rookie year. One game.
Right.
And he's a potential Hall of Famer. So again, you're going to get that diamond in the rough. But believe me, Peter, every now and then a blind squirrel finds an acorn. And that's a lot of these guys that are in the 4th and 5th and 6th round.
And we're on with the great Leo Haggerty here of Amped Up Sports, Night Sports Productions. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. A hiring this weekend, which we heard about it when we were at the USF game. Brian Flores, defensive assistant, linebackers coach to the Pittsburgh Steelers. What are your thoughts? Smart move by him, even though he's suing the National Football League. What do you make of this transaction by the Steelers?
Oh, guy's a good coach. And again, Peter, we have a black assistant coach hired by a black head coach. And again, that's a great thing because now, and again, Peter, we had talked about this Saturday at the basketball game.
Sure.
The biggest problem African-American coaches have in coming head coaches, how do you build a staff? You've got to have those connections. And a lot of them just don't have it because of what's going on.
Right.
Think about this now. When Mike Tomlin came in, Dick LeBeau, he kept on as the defensive coordinator. What a smart move that was.
Right.
When Tony Dungy went to Indianapolis, he kept Tom Moore and that whole offensive staff on.
Correct.
And when John Gruden came here, hey, guess what? Monty Kiffin, Joe Barry, Mike Tomlin, Rod Marinelli didn't budge. And that's the key is how can you create a staff? And believe me, Peter, I can guarantee you that question is asked in an interview of every possible candidate. Who will be willing to come to wherever we're going to hire you and be assistant coaches?
Well, and it's a difficult situation because teams at that time are in the playoffs. I mean, do you feel like with all that being said and the hiring practices being under question, and even Roger Goodell admitting there's a problem, should those hiring practices being changed? Should they be changed because of the time that those teams are in the playoffs? And it kind of seems like it's all rushed together. Should that be changed in your opinion? Should Roger Goodell and the league look at that?
Peter, absolutely. If you're going to have Black Monday on the first day after the regular season ends, you should not be able to even interview coaches until after the Super Bowl.
Okay.
That's the only fair way to make this happen is to let the cards play out. And then, 7, 8 teams. And Peter, every year we're going to get 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 teams that are going to fire their head coach.
Sure.
And then let it play out from there. That's the only fair way because I don't know what the story is with Todd Bowles, with Leftwich, or with Eric Bieniemy, or Deuce Staley.
Yeah.
Why are they not getting head coaching jobs? I don't know if they're just not interviewing well. And again, Peter, I can tell you the first time I interviewed for a head coaching job, I wasn't any good at it. It takes you 2 or 3 times before you realize, okay, what are they going to ask me? What do I need to ask them? And what are my answers going to be? You got to come in there with a plan. And a lot of times these guys, they're going in there, and the Rooney Rule is to let that happen.
Right.
To let these guys. I'll tell you what, Peter, how about Raheem Morris not even getting a sniff? He put together a defensive game plan that basically won the Rams the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But he's not even getting a sniff. That's amazing.
Well, it's amazing. And what you're here is, Leo, is, well, they had Aaron Donald, they had Leonard Floyd, and they had this and that. And the other thing, Von Miller. And that's the reason why Raheem Morris, did so well in coaching. And it's not fair. It's not fair. It's like, I hear fans all the time, well, Byron Leftwich wouldn't be as successful because he didn't have Tom Brady. Come on. You've got to give him some credit. We're on with Leo Haggerty, the legend himself, here on the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. We talked about basketball. I mean, what were your thoughts on that USF loss? I mean, very tough year COVID really struck this team. They played hard, but when it came down to it, you're missing high percentage shots, and then you're 5 for 22 from the 3-point line. Your thoughts on USF losing to Tulsa on Saturday?
Peter, we look at that game and we look at what's happening. It's a shame. Those guys work hard. And there's two things that are happening. One, they don't shoot the ball real well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because a lot of the guys that need to be in the lineup are missing because they're hurt or because they're ill or because they have COVID issues.
Sure.
That's fine. The second thing, I've never seen a team turn the ball over as much as USF does in a live ball situation. And again, what I'm talking about there is they'll turn it over and on a steal, they'll turn it over, they'll bounce a ball off their foot, and all of a sudden it's a breakaway at the other end. It's not a travel. It's not a 3 seconds. It's not an offensive foul. We can go back and play defense. You're giving them free buckets, and that's not it. And Peter, I leaned to you with 4 minutes to go in the first half. I said, here's the problem.
Yep.
The last 4 minutes, first 4 minutes of the second half, the middle 8, as we like to call them in the coaching profession. South Florida, it's 27-27 with 1:10 to go in the second quarter, in the first half. At the 18-minute mark of the second half, it's 38-27. Tulsa went on 11-0 run.
Yep.
They can't catch up from that.
And it's pretty much the game at that point. Speaking of college basketball, because we're going to have Jason Powers on. He wants to talk about this. But what were your thoughts on Juwan Howard, the Michigan basketball coach, getting in there was like a melee, looked like a riot situation there. He threw a punch. He was also suspended 5 games, that coming down the last hour. Also fined $40,000. The other coach here, Greg Gard, was fined $10,000, but not suspended. Should Gard have been suspended for grabbing Howard? Because, you already knew that Howard was upset with Wisconsin calling that timeout. Now, I still don't understand why they did it. The game was in no doubt at that point. He's upset. You're trying to come and shake his hand. Of course, Howard didn't like it. He let the coach know, and then the coach grabs him, and then that's when, fisticuffs happen. Of course, you watch a basketball game and see basketball players get into a fight. They're always swinging and missing. So what do you make of this situation? Is it fair for Howard to get suspended for 5 games for the rest of the season for Michigan, which, by the way, they're on the bubble here, 14-11. So, this could be detrimental for this team, or this could, motivate this team to, get back into the tournament when they get their coach back. What do you make of this whole situation?
Peter, and again, I know Juwan Howard. I met him on numerous occasions. The assistant coach at Michigan who recruited him, Brian Dutcher, is a very good friend of mine. And, great. Chris Webber went there. Jalen Rose went there. But the glue was Juwan Howard. He was the guy who kept everything together, and he was the first commit of the Fab Five.
Right.
The guy is a level-headed guy. Now, he's a competitor.
Sure.
Now, he's got to understand this. Guy calls a timeout with 15 seconds to go. It's not illegal. It's not his job not to call timeouts. He wants to call timeout. That's fine.
Sure.
You just got to understand that. That's part of the game. And yeah, he probably should have handled this better. Like after the game, he should have called him or texted him and said, hey, I really didn't appreciate the timeout. And Gard probably would have said, hey, look, it didn't hit me. It just reacted that way. We were getting trapped, and I didn't look at the score. And this could all have been handled differently. But does he need to get suspended? Yeah, you can't just ignore it. And again, that's just the way it is. And 5 games, they just basically telling him, okay, get ready for the tournament. Because I think you can rally your players. And what people don't realize is his assistant coach is the former 20-plus year coach from LaSalle. Mm-hmm. So he's been there a while. And he basically is the guy who runs the defense at Michigan. So when you look at what's going on, they had to do it. They had to suspend people because you can't condone it. Now, Dick Vitale came out and said, let's stop with the handshake line. Peter, I don't
do
know.
Do you have a problem with that? I mean, after one incident, I mean, it seems like it's one of those unique things you have in college basketball. You're going to take that away off of one incident. I mean, we're kind of, this is kind of jumping to conclusions here. I mean, you're kind of, it's kind of overdoing it, right? I mean, I don't expect this to happen all the time. I just think it was one of those situations where it was a perfect storm. Howard didn't like it. The other guy grabbed his arm. What is he supposed to do? He's supposed to sit back and smile at him? I mean, come on. And then some people are out there saying Juwan Howard deserves to be fired. Hello, Bob Knight.
No.
Come on. And I mean, it's overreaction at this point. It really is.
Yeah, again, Peter, nobody died, nobody got hurt.
Right.
Emotions got away. And again, is this the right thing to do? I don't know. I mean, in football, you don't line up and shake hands.
Right.
In baseball, you just wave from the dugout. I don't know if there's a good or a bad in that. Think about this. After you get beat by 50 points, you're going to go over and shake the guy's hand.
Right.
That's hard to do. After he just drilled you by 50. And again, Peter, I don't know if there's an answer to this. That's why they had to suspend Coach Howard, simply because you cannot condone this action no matter what.
And like I said, I think Wisconsin really dropped the ball because they should have suspended their coach for grabbing the other man's arm and starting this stuff. We're on with Leo Haggerty. One last question. Should they do away with the slam dunk contest? I watched it this weekend. I thought it was one of the most boring events I've ever seen. No star power at all. I get it. I can't dunk. I'm not a dunker. I'm not going to sit here and say I can do that. But has it passed its time at this point? Should the NBA look into, maybe doing away with the dunk contest? What are your thoughts on this?
Peter, the NBA should do away with everything from All-Star Weekend. You know the happiest group of people after watching that game? I can't even call it a game. An exhibition
Right.
The other night, the NFL, because now people are not poking fun at the NFL's Pro Bowl. That game, the next guy that plays defense should get a medal because there's nobody. They couldn't even get away with that in the schoolyard. That is the worst exhibition of basketball I've ever seen. And here's the best part. Chris Paul gets hurt and he's out 8 weeks. That's the craziest thing in the world. How do you get hurt in a game when nobody gets within 10 feet of you? It's Peter, all these all-star games, basically, like the NHL is down to 3-on-3. It's two-hand touch in the Pro Bowl. The NBA is, okay, let's just don't get close to these guys. Just let them come down, shoot, get the ball, throw it in. I mean, Peter, it was 163 to 160.
It was like a typical NBA game these days. I mean, no defense being played, no physicality. I think the great thing was when Michael Jordan I think he was hugging Magic Johnson and challenged him to a one-on-one. I'd rather see that in an all-star weekend than see the dunk contest and whatever that game was. I get it. Stephon Curry, 16 threes. But when you got nobody contesting the shots, of course you're going to shoot 16 threes. Leo Haggerty, go ahead and promote yourself here on The Evolution.
Well, take a look at us on Amped Up Sports. We're just getting our stuff online. Look for some interesting photos from the LSU Auburn gymnastics meet.
Okay.
Peter, I don't know if you know this, but the Olympic gold medalist from the United States is on the Auburn gymnastics team. And we've got shots of her at the LSU meet. Kelly Champion and Bill Smith, our photographers, were there. So go to Amped Up Sports, take a look at what's been going on. Peter, check your email because the SEC tournament, I want to get us in for that. It's going to be March 9th through the 13th. And we want to get everybody in. I want to do that by Thursday. Also, tomorrow night, get there as soon as you can so we can do a little pregame, postgame, and enjoy the women's basketball game, Wichita State versus the South Florida Bulls.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Evolution of Sports Talk Television right there. Amped Up Sports. live here with Mr. Leo Haggerty. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Sports Web on I Love St. Pete, the hub, and now Amped Up Sports.
Always a pleasure, Peter. And like I said, the NBA All-Star Game needs to go like the Ottoman Empire, vanish from the face of the earth.
Good stuff. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions and now Amped Up Sports right there. We'll go ahead and read some of these comments, and then we'll get out to the power man himself, Mr. Jason Powers on Sports Podcast, who he thought he was exiled from the show. Never. You're always welcome on the Evolution, and of course, we'll take your phone calls. Let's go out to Christopher Cole. Hey, guys, what's up? It's going to be interesting offseason with all the rumors and speculation about everything until March 17th. Jim says, brand new stadium. We shall see. I think he's talking about the Rays. LA should be ashamed of themselves. Troy Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan legend. Bring back Mike Glennon. No. Trinity says typical, all about the money. Fat Mike says TSW is the best thing Florida sports since Marty St. Louis. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and fire the cannons for that. I appreciate you, Fat Mike, there from 1252 Chicago Sports. I got something to jerk off your wrist. Oh, just kidding. And Christopher Cole says, I told my nephew this is going to be different when he puts his pads on. Absolutely. Troy Polamalu, King Troy, USF sucks. You know what? You suck. Gymnastics, I'd rather watch NASCAR. And Christopher Cole says, good stuff, JP and Leo. Let's get out to them. Let's go out to the power man.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Jason Powers on Sports Podcast, a spirited debate the other night about the Ray Stadium situation. But, buddy, it's been a long time. Welcome to the Evolution. How you doing?
I mean, I thought I was getting sent to the front lines of Ukraine.
Oh, my God.
I thought I was getting exiled to go fight a war with the Russians, with Putin, but after I'm getting exiled from the Sports Web, man.
Never, man. Come on. We're tag team partners of the world. Of course, TJ Reeves being the manager. I guess classy Freddie Blassie.
Yes, yes.
Let's talk about this Brady situation. I know you want to talk about Juwan Howard. We'll get into all that, but what do you make of it? I mean, did he retire because of friction with the organization, disagreement with BA? What do you make of all these rumors right now? I mean, all they're coming out saying, you know, Brady may not want to play with the Bucks. He may want to play with the 49ers. I mean,
six letters. Giselle. That's why he retired.
Right. I mean, it's just
the
that
pressure
easy, right?
at home. What is the word? What is the word in the single man's world? The power of the P.
Oh, geez. You know, we're not going to go there. But, you know, speaking of pressure, you either feel the pressure or apply it. And more than likely, he was feeling the pressure from his significant other. Look, as he should, because he's been playing for so many years. He's 44 years old. I get it. He's got 43 touchdowns. He's playing at a high level. But he talked about it in his comments, how she gets upset when he gets hit. And, you know, I think Brady was disappointed with, you know, the whole result of losing to the Rams with the injury situation with Antonio Brown. So, and he even said it in his comments. He didn't say he was retired, but he wasn't going to compete anymore. He wasn't going to do that anymore. So I get it. He left it open. But honestly, do you think he's trying to work his way out of Tampa with another team? Why would you want to?
I would seriously doubt it, only because I know lots of people are talking about San Francisco, that he wants to go play near his home where he grew up. Here's the one thing that I know is true, and he said this a couple of times over the last couple of years. He doesn't want to be, when he chose Tampa over other places, he doesn't want to be too far away from his son, Jack, who's with his former wife, Bridget Moynihan, up in New York. So he doesn't, I don't think he's going to go, if he moves, he's not going to go move to the West Coast where he's cross country from his son, where, you know, you saw his son come to training camp a good bit last offseason, the last couple of years. He's a couple-hour flight away from New York. I don't think you will see Tom Brady. If he were to come back and play, which is highly doubtful, you won't see him on the West Coast, I don't believe, because he doesn't want to be across 3 time zones away from his son.
Yeah, and again, the rumor this weekend was from former football player Tom Brady, now radio host Rich Orenberger, who played with Brady from 09 to 14 in New England, saying, you know, the reason why he was upset and their relationship wasn't as great because Byron Leftwich and Brady would put together the game plan, and then BA would come through after he was done with, you know, rehabilitating. Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, that's and just would like say, well, no, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. And we hear, you know, different things. I mean, it's just the whole thing.
I have a hard time believing Bruce Arians, over the success they've had the last 2 years, would come in all of a sudden in year 2, especially after everybody's finally on the same page with the offense, to come in with the red pen and just X everything out. I think Bruce Arians is a smarter guy than that. I think Bruce Arians has shown that he's allowing Byron Leftwich and Todd Bowles to kind of do their thing, and Bruce has kind of been more the CEO. The one part I think there was a rift was, and I know you mentioned it earlier with JP, was the Antonio Brown situation. I think you and I both believe that Bruce Arians didn't want Antonio Brown on the team, but he bit his tongue for Tom Brady. But then when Antonio Brown embarrassed the organization a second time there in New York, that was if there was a friction, I think it was because of that, because he's thinking to himself, Tom, I allowed Antonio Brown to stay because of you, and you weren't able to keep Antonio Brown in check.
Yeah, and Antonio Brown, again, had some comments today. In case you missed them, we'll go ahead and tackle them as always. You know, Brown blaming everybody else. I mean, goes on to say, Tom, I was there for you. You get me the ball, and
yeah, please.
Bruce put me on. I mean, it's just the same old stuff. I wish the guy would go away, but he's almost, you know, he's friends with Kanye. Kanye is obsessed with Kim K, and Antonio Brown consequently is obsessed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, can both of these men move on, please?
No, they're clowns. And what makes it worse, and I hate to say this, the more we in the media talk about this, the more they love it, because their name's staying in the news, their name's staying in the social media world. If we would just stop talking about those two guys and don't bring their names up, they would shut up and go away.
Well, that's what we do here on the Sports Web. We got Jason Powers, the power man himself. Powers.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
I'm out of prison, man. Did you see that the second guy from one of Epstein's confidants or clowns that he used to run with got hung in prison yesterday? They found him dead as a doornail, hung in prison. Good for him. Good for the fellas that took care of him in prison.
Oh, I'm not going to even comment on that. Jason Powers all the way out into left field there. What do you make of the other rumors here? Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. I mean, who do you prefer? Carson Wentz, Jimmy Garoppolo, Teddy Bridgewater, Jameis Winston. I mean, are these names that you get excited about? Jimmy G, Carson Wentz?
Wilson's the guy, I think, that you can make a legit argument. The only downfall with Wilson is I don't know if Seattle would want to trade him within the NFC, but I think Wilson would be the perfect guy. He's 33. He's got another 4 to 5 years left in him. You know, that would satisfy, I think, Arians for a couple more years. And again, in a perfect world, if Deshaun Watson didn't have the legal things that he has, he would be the guy. And obviously Houston wouldn't be trading him if he had didn't have the legal issues. But Russell Wilson, in my opinion, is number one on the hit list when the Bucs go to the combine here in a couple of weeks to do all the negotiating behind the scenes. I think that you'll hear about.
And that's the thing about the combine that I didn't get a chance to talk to Leo about, but this is the reason why I think the Bucs will be making a deal here in the next couple of weeks and moving on, even though they may still be holding out hope for Brady to come back. This is where you kind of make those deals. So if it's not Wilson, then who's your next choice, Jason Powers?
Again, I know there was some news out today about Deshaun Watson, about potentially his case could be, exonerated or resolved at some point in early April. Maybe if the Bucs can wait that long. I don't know if you can wait that long to make a deal with somebody.
You can't. I mean, you can't, because if you do, the new league year starts.
Right.
Then you're not going to make a trade for somebody where the legal situation is not going to get over until April, because you don't know, even if that legal situation is I guess rectified. You don't know if the NFL is going to suspend him 8 to 12 games. That's why I don't see it happening. Everything else off the field, on the field, 26-year-old guy, possible quarterback for the next 10, 15 years, I'm just not doing it. So if it's not Watson, if it's not Wilson, is it Jimmy G? Is it Carson Wentz? Is it Teddy Bridgewater? Or
what you could potentially do if the Bucs can gather some intel on Deshaun here in the next couple of weeks and really get a sense that he's maybe innocent of all these charges, what you could potentially do if you're the Buccaneers, you could take the public position. We're going to let Kyle Trask and or Blaine Gabbert type guy fight it out with the thought in the back of your mind of maybe we'll trade for Deshaun Watson in April. He might get suspended for 7 or 8 games for half the year. You could maybe get through the first 7 or 8 games with a combination of Trask or Gabbert, and then Deshaun Watson comes in if he's exonerated. Obviously, if he's convicted of anything or charged criminally with anything, it's going to be hard to make that trade from a PR perspective and from a football perspective. But that might be something that they get some intelligence here in the next couple of weeks that things are looking good on the Deshaun Watson front from a legal perspective. You could maybe make that trade in April, knowing you have Kyle Trask and Gabbert who could maybe play 6, 7, 8 games if they had to start the year.
And I understand that point, and I'll counteract you because one of our good friends, Drew Felios, said we got a knack for debating and we got a great chemistry together. That's what we do. That's what our tag team champions of the world here on the sports web do. Look, you got to convince Chris Godwin. You got to convince a guy like a Carlton Davis that it's worth coming back. And I'm sorry to tell you, but Blaine Gabbert, Kyle Trask at that point is not going to do it. So unless you have something concrete, which is why I don't think that Watson thing happens, because if I'm Chris Godwin, I love Mike Evans, but if I feel like there's no quarterback there that I have confidence with, I have an opportunity to possibly go to Green Bay. I doubt it, but maybe Chicago, some other teams out there. I'm probably taking that situation over a Blaine Gabbert and a Kyle Trask, just being honest.
Well, like you and I talked about it on my podcast a couple weeks back, if Blaine Gabbert's the quarterback for the Buccaneers week 1, I'm going to vomit in my mouth. I just, I don't.
Yes. I agree. I agree because I'm sorry. It does not push the needle, and I get it. He's been an NFL starter and he knows the offense, and BA is comfortable with him. But honestly, you think Blaine Gabbert, you go from Tom Brady to Blaine Gabbert, and I'm supposed to have confidence?
I could see the Buccaneers if they, again, depending on how they're thinking, because I can promise you there's 6 or 7 scenarios on a dry erase board at one Buccaneer place going on right now. Maybe if one of the big guys is out of the mix, there's no Watson, no Wilson, no Aaron Rodgers. Maybe you take a 1-year flyer, do a 1-year deal with a Carson Wentz potentially. I don't know if I trade any valuable compensation for Jimmy G. Maybe a 3rd or 4th round pick at best for Jimmy G because his contract's running out. And maybe one other wild card to think about. If the Raiders don't re-up Derek Carr, which there's talk they might not, maybe he's at a place for Tom Brady. If Josh McDaniels could talk him out, maybe he's at a place for Aaron Rodgers. Maybe a guy like Derek Carr could be a guy for the Buccaneers that you bring in, and he would be a substantial upgrade to Blaine Gabbert and Kyle Trask. And maybe you go with Derek Carr for 3 years.
I take Derek Carr in a heartbeat. He's has 1 more year with the Raiders left on that contract. But I feel like, look, if Josh McDaniels is going to take that job, he's going there knowing that Carr has got to be his quarterback. Why take the job in the first place unless, of course, you want to get your own guy? We're on with Jason Powers on Sports Podcast. Go ahead and promote yourself here where they can find that podcast, my friend. It's a great one. Sometimes I'm on it too.
You were on a week ago with us last week. We had a really good chat about lots of things, NFL, the Rays, all kind of good stuff. Powers on Sports Podcast, all your podcast platforms, Apple, Google, Stitcher, Spotify, all the good stuff. I've also got the Powers on Sports YouTube channel where you can see the video interviews as well. You can see me and Peter's video chat back and forth. We had a very spirited discussion last week. So all the interviews are posted there as well.
All right, keeping it on NFL, what's your take on these new leagues? USFL, of course, the Tampa Bay Bandits are going to be playing in Alabama, which is weird. All their teams are going to be doing that. And now it comes out today, the NFL and XFL reached a partnership agreement that will focus on creating innovation programs and protecting the health of players. The NFL announced on Monday. of course, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Redbird Capital Partners. And what it says, the agreement will give the NFL a petri dish to experiment with proposed rules, test new equipment, develop prospective officials, coaches. XFL president Russ Brandon told ESPN. So what do you make of this? Are you excited about these new leagues? Are you watching because it is football at the end of the day? And can this work out into the NFL's favor with the XFL?
I mean, I think both leagues, the USFL and the XFL, are good options in the spring. This is a perfect fertile development ground for the bottom of the roster guys. For guys that are on the last 10 or 15 guys on a roster throughout the league, this is a great opportunity for those guys to get reps, to earn their stripes, to get more playing time. Again, it used to be the USFL back in the day, when I was a young man and you were really young.
Yes.
The USFL was a very viable league. They had, Tampa Bay had a great team, the Bandits. They had teams all over the country, LA, New York, Chicago, great names like Reggie White, Steve Young, Jim Kelly, Herschel Walker. And if it wasn't for our former president, Donald Trump, ruining that league, I'm being serious.
Right. You're right.
That league would have been around much longer. And that league was taking some big-time players and paying some big-time players salaries that the NFL wasn't used to. And they were taking some players from that NFL. Doug Williams played in that league. We know very well when he left the Buccaneers. That was a very viable league.
Jim Kelly.
Yep.
Steve Young, I believe, also played
Yes.
here. I mean, yeah. You're exactly right.
In the XFL, in the USFL, what both these leagues can do, and again, they can be developmental leagues. I like that the NFL is not afraid to create a partnership with the XFL, especially to try out innovative rule changes, to create more opportunities for officials to work games, to implement different things that maybe the NFL isn't quite ready to do full time, but maybe you do an experimental thing. When we watch baseball games, some of these baseball rules that eventually come into fruition are things that they try out in the minor leagues. So I like that the NFL is not being so elitist to where they say we're not messing with this other league. I think it's good that they're creating a partnership. If you remember the World League that was over in Europe, that was a developmental league. Guys like Kurt Warner, Brad Johnson from the Buccaneers played in that league.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. I remember the Orlando Thunder with, I believe, former Florida Gator Kerwin Bell playing quarterback there way back. And you're exactly right with the developmental thing. Can The Rock do something that Vince McMahon wasn't able to do? Is third time the charm for the XFL? Can they survive more than 1 or 2 years, in your opinion?
The key element is one, TV contract, and you have to be able to sell some tickets. I mean, because you got to pay the players probably on average at least $50,000 a player during the year. You have to minimize the number of teams. Don't try to grow too big. If you have 8 to 10 teams in the league, try to have a good 8 to 10 franchises. Put them in cities that are not necessarily NFL towns, where that city might think this is the only game in town for us, so we're going to come to the games. Because if you put them in New York or in LA, you might have some attendance the first couple of weeks, but as soon as that team starts plateauing or dropping, the attendance is going to be low in that league. Put the teams in a place like Portland. Put them in a place like Charlotte. Teams that not even Charlotte. I shouldn't say that Charlotte does have an NFL team, but you know what I'm saying? Oklahoma City, places like that. St. Louis that would enjoy football. A place on the west. A place up in the northwest. Place like somewhere in Minnesota, somewhere in decent weather where it's the only game in town where the crowd is going to feel some kind of loyalty to want to come to the games 4 or 5 times during the year.
Good stuff. Jason Powers on Sports Podcast. Let's go out to the comments here. Fake news. I'm just going to call them from now on. Move the Rays to Canada. Nuke the Trop.
Shut up!
Bucks will sign Brock Osweiler. Your ass.
Shut up!
Roger Shoe switched sides. He's now watching Sucks Report. Not true. All right, Harry Berg, Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinary. Chicago Sports says, start vomiting, Jason. Gabbert should and probably will be the starter. Gabbert knows this offense better than anyone else at the time. And as you know, this offense is not the easiest to master. He has a point, and a lot of people would bring up a Jameis Winston. Before we get to that, do you think there is a possibility where, I'm not saying the Bucs are going to tank, but you go 1 year with a Gabbert or a Trask, and then next year you go for a Russell Wilson possibly? Do you think
this is why you don't play Blaine Gabbert this year? If you're in the mode of we're not going to be great at quarterback, then you got to see what you have in Kyle Trask.
Yeah.
He's a second-round pick. We know what Blaine Gabbert is and isn't. If this is going to be one of those transitional years, you have to play Kyle Trask.
I agree. Well,
At least give him 8 to 10 games to play. He may fall in his face and might not be worth a flip, but you got to play him 6 to 8, 10 games to be able to see what he has. Here's another thing. There's no guarantee Chris Godwin's going to be fully healthy next year.
Right.
As much as we think he will be, ACL this late in the year, he may not be ready till midseason.
Yeah. No, you're exactly.
It might be one of those years where the Buccaneers say, you know what, we're going to get the salary cap back in order. We have a lot of older players. This might be the year to scale down the roster a little bit from a salary cap perspective, re-up some of the younger guys, and then really build this thing the next year or so through the draft.
And to me, I would think BA would retire at that point because I don't think BA wants to go through that. He wants to win now. So that's why I don't think it's going to happen. And once again, you have to get a halfway deep. You got to get a name in order, in my opinion, to convince some of these free agents to come back.
Sure. Nobody's coming back for Blaine Gabbert.
No, I'm sorry. Christopher Cole says that's probably why the Rock started off the Super Bowl. Cole says Bell at quarterback, Gary Anderson at running back, and Nate Newton on the. I didn't know Nate Newton played for the Orlando. Wow.
Tampa, the Bandits.
Did he really?
Yes.
Wow.
And head coach, ball coach, one Steve Spurrier.
Yes.
Hello?
And John Reeves at quarterback. I do remember that now. Let's go out to Troy Polamalu, fake news, a.k.a. Roger Shue was really upset that there was no show on Friday. He bought takeout food for nothing, and this is what you get. Speaking of upset, Juwan Howard, that situation in itself got out of control last night after Michigan loses to Wisconsin. Now Michigan has suspended him for 5 games, fined him $40,000. Was that the right thing to do? A lot of people out there said he should be fired. I think you're overreacting at that point. But why wasn't the other coach, Jason Powers, also suspended in some way? Why didn't Wisconsin step up after that coach grabbed Howard's arm and basically escalated that situation, in my opinion?
I disagree with you 100%.
Okay.
What Greg Gard? What did that guy do?
Well, he grabbed his arm. I mean,
he touched his arm. He didn't grab him violently. He didn't push him away. He grabbed his arm to explain to him what he was doing.
Well, you can't grab somebody's arm. I mean, I'm not going to come up.
Really? Juwan Howard claims he was threatened today. Really? You were threatened by Greg Gard, a guy that's a foot shorter than you are?
You don't know that. I mean, the guy. Really? I mean, why are you making that situation that way? That's the thing. I mean, why are you grabbing some man's arm in the first place? I mean, if I'm upset and I'm trying to tell you I'm upset, are you going to grab my arm? Am I going to grab your arm if you're upset?
First of all, he didn't put a death grip on him. He grabbed his elbow and to say, "Hey, hold up, Juwan, before you go blowing by me." Okay, I want to explain what I did because you put on the full court press down 17 with 30 seconds left in the game. Okay, please don't exonerate Juwan Howard. Here's something I have not heard anybody talk about today with Juwan Howard.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't Juwan Howard, if he was so pissed off at Greg Gard, why did he not slap Greg Gard? He slapped the assistant coach. He didn't try to slap Greg Gard or punch Greg Gard. Why didn't he was so mad at Greg Gard for what he did, for putting his hands on him. Why didn't he take a swing at Greg Gard?
Well, I think
he was. The assistant coach.
I think he was trying to do that, but the players, the assistant coaches were getting in the way, and there was stuff said. Look, we weren't there, but you watched.
We saw it.
It was a melee. It was a melee, and it was embarrassing on both coaches' part. It's not a good look for Howard and his team. I get that, but it doesn't help when you escalate the situation and you're grabbing another man's arm, you're just not going to do that when he's upset. You're just not going to. I mean, you're not going to do that
again. Was it perfect what Greg Gard did? No, but should Greg Gard be suspended for grabbing the guy's arm? No way.
I think he should, because
Juwan Howard is a lucky man that he only got 5 games and didn't lose his job. Because if Juwan Howard wasn't a Michigan man, in my opinion, he'd have lost his job.
Well, I think that's overreaction because he's done a fairly good job with Michigan. He's a former player, of course, and we've seen Bobby Knight throughout the years. I mean, I think again, and I heard Dick Vitale
punching a coach.
Well, did he connect with the coach? I mean,
yes.
Yes. It didn't look like he didn't look like he connected with them. And again, I always watch basketball fights because
should a 50-year-old man that's probably the second, third highest paid employee at the university, who's played the game for as long as he has, should he know better than that?
He should, but also you don't know what that man is thinking when another man is grabbing the guy's arm when he's upset.
Then why didn't he push Greg Gard when he grabbed his arm? Why didn't he take a swing at Greg Gard and not the assistant coach?
Because the assistant coaches, all the players were trying to break it up and get involved, and there was trash talking, and it was just a mess, Jason.
Juwan Howard reached over Greg Gard to take a swipe at the second coach. He didn't. Greg Gard was right in front of him the whole time.
We don't know what was said in that whole melee we're on with Jason Powell. I just got a question.
Here's what I would ask.
Yes.
Here's what I would ask.
Yes.
If one of Juwan Howard's players did that, would Juwan Howard say, it's okay, he was provoked?
No, you'll be suspended, but both players will be suspended. The person that instigated it and the person that did it.
Not for grabbing an arm, Peter Blake. I'm sorry, man.
That's grabbing an arm. That's touching somebody. You shouldn't be touching anybody at all. You have no right to touch anybody. We're on with Jason.
Are you going to take a swing at me if I touch you at Ducky's? Are you going to take a swing at me if I grab your elbow?
If I'm upset and I'm trying to tell you something like, hey, I'm trying to take a break right now, and you go, look, I'm trying to eat a chicken wing, and you grab me by my arm, then yeah, I may take a swing at you. You know what? You can take a swing back at me. That's what tag team partners do around with Jason Powers. Love it.
Honestly, Juwan, in my opinion, he's fortunate there's only 5 games left in the season.
Right.
He should have gotten, in my opinion, a minimum 10-game suspension and fined a couple $100,000.
Does this help Michigan out? Does this galvanize that locker room? Did they get motivated because he is suspended?
No.
Or are there opportunity to get to March Madness because they're 14-11 at this point? I mean, does their bubble burst now because Howard is suspended?
I don't think they're in the tournament today anyway. If this tournament started today, I don't think they're in the field. They would have to go on a major run in the rest of the regular season in the Big Ten tournament. And I just don't – they've been an underachieving team all year. They've been a big, big disappointment. A lot of people had a high expectations for Michigan this year with the center. They got Dickinson and a couple other big recruits. Juwan Howard's not done a good job this year. And I'm with you. I can live with him not getting fired, but he should be suspended more than 5 games. I know that.
All right, good stuff there. Good debate. Again, we love each other on this show. We're not going to grab each other, punch each other, all that other stuff. Let's go out to Cole here. Peter, I'm with you, but you're using Bobby Knight as an example. That's a low bar. I mean, not really, because you would consider Bobby Knight as one of the greatest college basketball coaches of all time, and he's gotten to his fair share of incidents.
But he's only – and by the way, here's the other thing.
We're grabbing players is worse.
This is not Juwan Howard's first run-in.
Right.
He had a major run-in last year at Maryland.
Correct. You're right. No, you're absolutely right. Bar fight at Ducky, says Christopher Cole.
The good thing is at Ducky's, we got the big man, the security guard. He would break it up pretty quick at Ducky's.
Oh yeah, he would. Oh yeah,
our buddy, the security guard at Ducky's.
Love that guy. Probably the most exciting thing that's happened there lately. Just saying, congratulations, by the way, to the Bengal fans. They look pretty excited about their Bengals being in the Super Bowl.
You really think Greg Gard should have got suspended? How many games for Greg Gard?
I mean, I would say he escalated the situation, caused the situation, so why not the rest of the year for him? I mean, make it fair. Make it make sense to a certain degree, and Wisconsin didn't do that, and I get it. They don't want to do that, but that's the reason why we're going to talk about it on sports talk shows like this, Jason Powers. Let's go out to Cleveland here. LeBron James supposedly is upset with by the way, shocking development here. LeBron James is upset. I swear, there's no way you can make LeBron James happy. He's always got to get his trades, have his superstars, but he left the door open for going back to Cleveland. In fact, he said the door's not closed on that. I'm not saying I'm coming back and playing. I don't know. I don't know what my future holds. I don't even know when I'm free. It's a couple of years from now. He also said, my last year will be played with my son. Wherever Bronny is at, that's where I'll be. I would do whatever it takes to play with my son for 1 year. It's not about the money at that point. What do you make of this situation? I mean, you could predict this from the very get-go. Getting a Russell Westbrook, couldn't shoot in the first place. You have to shoot threes in the NBA. He's been absolutely dreadful. And then when you have three superstars and you have all that money devoted to those superstars, you don't have the role players. So is this really shocking coming from James?
No, because what's sad is LeBron James is the guy that said to go make the trade for Russell Westbrook.
Right.
LeBron James is the guy that said go get Anthony Davis. And
right.
I know they won a title 2 years ago, but he is as fragile as they come. The guy's never healthy. The guy's never in the game more than 5-10 games in a row.
Yep.
He doesn't ever play. And he's a great talent, but he never plays.
Yeah. He never plays. And that would be Anthony Davis. He never plays. He's been hurt. He's a tremendous
and he wanted
talent.
to go get Russell Westbrook. He said, let's go get Russell Westbrook.
Right.
And I give Jeannie Buss credit for telling LeBron at the trade deadline, you wanted this team, make it work, LeBron. Figure it out.
Well, should they have gone out there and made some trades to make him?
Who are you going to trade for?
I mean,
who's going to take Russell Westbrook's $48 million contract for next year? Nobody.
No one. But it's LeBron James, and everybody's chomping at the bit to play with LeBron James. I mean,
Here's another thing. They traded all their number one picks for Anthony Davis. Yeah. They don't have a first round draft pick till 2027, Peter.
Yeah, I know. It's a complete mess at this situation. Do you buy that he wants to play with his son and it won't be about money? And then
it's a joke that he would say that. Here's why. I've not seen Bronny James as a top 5 recruit in the country.
No.
Who's saying this guy's worth a flip?
Well, I mean,
as a player.
I've watched a little bit of his highlights. He's got some skills like his dad. You can see some of it.
He's a high school kid.
Right. You don't know if he's going to be a top 5, top 10, let alone a top 15 pick at this point.
And what's going to be sad is he's probably going to be a kid that needs to go to college more than 1 year.
Correct.
And he's probably going to be forced by his father to come out of the draft after his freshman year, no matter how he plays or where he goes. And he's not going to probably be an NBA player.
You're probably
and it's going to be a waste for an NBA team because a team will draft him in the first round because of the package deal of getting LeBron James for a 1 year deal as well. And that's going to be a shame on the kid who the dad's going to who the kid maybe should still stay in college a couple of years, that the dad's probably going to force him to come out of college when he's not ready to be a professional player yet.
I mean, could you see the Orlando Magic drafting Bronny to get LeBron James? And do you honestly think that LeBron would play for the Orlando Magic? I can't see it.
You're right. I don't either.
I can't see it.
I could see him going back to Cleveland in his last year. I could see that.
Right.
Because I could see that. And,
why? Because they're starting to develop good players again. They've got like 2 or 3 good players on that team.
They got a good team.
Right. So, of course, he wants to go back because he wants the opportunity to win a championship. Speaking of going back or never going back, what do you think of All-Star Weekend? Because we usually never talk about the NBA, but I felt like we had to. I was compelled to. Yeah. I was watching that slam dunk contest on Saturday night. That was probably the worst slam dunk contest that I've ever seen in my life. And on top of it, the announcers were even saying, this is bad. So should the NBA look at, kind of disbanding the dunk contest? I mean, the game.
You want the solution?
Yes.
You want the solution?
What's the solution?
LeBron James. Put me on camera with you, Peter Blake. I want me and you to look at each other when we're doing
Okay.
this.
Yes.
You want to do something productive, LeBron James? You and about 4 of your fellas get in the slam dunk contest. Do it one time. You, the Greek Freak, 3 or 4 of these high flyers, all-star type players. That's what's going to make the slam dunk contest great. It was great back in the 80s when Michael was in it, when Dominique was in it, Dr. J was in it. That's when it was great. Let's see some of the star players get in the mix.
Or stop screwing over Aaron Gordon, because he should have won it like 2 years in a row, and for some reason he got screwed.
But Aaron Gordon's a nobody in the terms of pantheon of names.
I agree. You have to have more star power, and I think you have to have an incentive. And LeBron is not going to do it. He's just not going to do it anymore. Because you know why he's not going to do it? He doesn't have any incentive to do it. And then on top of it, if he flops, like our guy here, Troy Polamalu, fake news says, screw LaFlop. If he flops, then people are going to say, well, that wasn't worth watching or waiting for LeBron to do a dunk contest. I mean, that was nothing. We should have gotten somebody else.
You want to be the GOAT? You claim that you're the GOAT?
Oh,
guess what the GOAT did back in the day multiple times?
I agree.
He was in the slam dunk contest, and he wasn't playing for $1 million. He might have got $40,000 probably for winning that back in the 80s.
Yeah,
he probably got 40 or 50 grand at most.
Well, I think that's what you have to do, though. You have to give more incentive these days.
Do something for free one time. How about that? How about that? How about spending an hour of your time and do about 3 dunks? That's all we're asking you to do. We're not asking you to do 50 dunks. Do about 3 or 4 dunks. Over the course of 2 hours.
Absolutely.
Really?
I think you're absolutely right about that. It's just not going to happen. The time has passed. We're on with Jason Powers. Powers on Sports podcast. Finally, the All-Star game. Leo said it best. It took basically the spotlight off of how bad the Pro Bowl was. I mean, is this the worst besides the Pro Bowl?
No, the Pro Bowl's the worst. Pro Bowl's the worst. At least one thing I'll say about the All-Star game from a 3-point perspective, at least it shows off shot making.
Right.
Say what you want about Steph Curry last night. He was making some deep ass threes. When he was shooting the ball from 35 feet away, that was pretty cool to see. I know it wasn't with any defense, but at least there was some shot making going on as opposed to the Pro Bowl. And I will say this, they do play a little defense in the NBA. The last 10, 15 points of I like this new format that they're playing where they play to a score. I like that better than the time, so that they do actually play a little defense the last 6, 7 possessions of the game. So I'll give them credit a little bit for that at least.
Well, 163 to 160.
I agree. I mean,
all right, good stuff, Jason Powers. We'll get you out of here on that. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television.
Absolutely. Powers on Sports podcast. Check us out. We have a new episode pretty much every week. We drop them on Thursdays. Typically, Peter Blake's been on several times. We've had some big JP Peterson, who you had on before we've had on. We have TJ Reeves. We have some professional guests. We've had Brad Johnson, former Buccaneer quarterback, on before. We've had Christine Arians, Bruce Arians' wife. We get some professional athletes, some big-time people in the media to come on and talk. So check us out, Powers on Sports podcast. Subscribe, rate, and review, and go to the Powers on Sports YouTube channel as well for all the video interviews from the podcast.
Absolutely, especially if you want to see our mugs on there. Get excited and debate and do what we do here on the Powers on Sports podcast. Jason Powers, thanks a lot for your time here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right, my friend?
All right, my man. I'm gonna report back live to you from the front of Ukraine, from the outskirts of Ukraine, as I'm getting exiled again. I'll see you at the end of the war, Peter Blake.
Oh my God, good stuff there, Jason. Appreciate you. We'll see you soon. All right, my friend.
All right, buddy. Be good.
Hey, don't grab my arm.
Be good, buddy.
All right, there you go. Good stuff there. Let's go out to Christopher Cole here. They just give it to LaFlop, even if he flops. You're exactly right about that. I mean, what do you think of the stories tonight that we covered? What do you think about the Bucs situation? Who do you believe? Open phone line for you, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Did you watch the All-Star game weekend? I get it, for some hardcore NBA fans, it's fun to a certain degree. But I'm just over the dunk contest. I'm not going to sit here and say I can dunk, but there's nothing interesting anymore to it. We've seen every dunk. We've seen the ball go off the backboard. We've seen the through the legs. We've seen all these dunks before. We've seen them. NBA has to come up with something, in my opinion. What do you think about LeBron James's comments? Yes, we're talking NBA tonight, which is amazing. What about Antonio Brown's comments, in case you missed them? We got to cover these. Boy, this is radio TV gold. They tried to hurt me intentionally, send me out there after knowing I was still hurt. Then he says about Tom Brady, which, by the way, he said in the interview, Tom's my guy. Tom's my guy. Yeah. Not so much. Not with these comments. Tom said he would throw it if I came to play hurt. I came. He didn't throw it. Imagine being hurt and having to play through this and being lied to. Cry me a friggin' river.
Shitter!
And then also Coach BA. Coach said, if I couldn't run on that, get the F out of here. Mike Evans was asked about it, about the AB situation. Of course, he was seen on the sidelines trying to calm down AB. Hey, man, don't do this. Don't do this. Of course, AB doesn't listen to anybody else but AB. And now he's hanging out with Kanye West. And they're going on a stalking spree. Mike Evans, he wanted the Rock, and I mean, rightfully so. We should have got him the Rock. He's an unbelievable player. But he was targeted 5 times. Come on, let's not act like this offense wasn't trying to go through AB. They had to with all the injuries they had. So your thoughts on all these situations. What do you think the Bucs should do quarterback-wise? What are they going to do? To me, Deshaun Watson has been ruled out today. Sorry. That situation or that trial or those legal circumstances not being able to be addressed, if you will, until April, that kind of rules them out, in my opinion. We'll see, though. Christopher Cole, I don't even know it was on. Well, there you go. Right there. Absolutely. I think there's a lot of people who didn't know it was on.
Yes!
All right, I tell you what. Let's go out to the USF coach in Brian Gregory. His comments on the loss to Tulsa, 64-57. Got a chance to interview him on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Here we go.
What is it about Tulsa that gives your team such difficulty? Is it that zone defense that they run?
Yeah, I think their zone is obviously very good. And it becomes a more controlled game because of that. And we haven't shot the ball well against them. I think probably the 5 for 22 today might have been the best that we've ever shot against them.
Right.
And the other thing is they have good players. And Jariah Horn is obviously a veteran player. Sam Griffin has had a tremendous year for him. Darian Jackson, his numbers sometimes don't wow you, but he's the one who kept that ball alive on that offensive rebound. And he just does all the little things. Obviously he was the 6th man of the year in the league last year. He's a guy that there's not one coach in this league that wouldn't take him. He'd be in every playing group, and he'd play 20 to 25 minutes on every team in this league.
Coach, you talk about your defense causing the 19 turnovers. Is that a facet that you're going to have your team build off of coming in these next couple of games?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we played one team that doesn't turn the ball over a lot, and that's Tulane. But our other games, we forced anywhere from 17 to 20 turnovers every game. You know what I mean? And what's interesting, and it goes against logic, but not really as a coach. When we're disciplined on defense and in the right position and playing our defense, we come up with more steals and forced turnovers than when we gamble and get out of position and play for steals. And it's just, again, there's a discipline that you need to play with. And when our guys do that, again, we're much better. Our defensive field goal percentage is not as good as it needs to be. And again, I say that because one of the reasons is because we are forcing so many turnovers. You know what I mean? Our defensive efficiency rate in terms of points per possession is pretty darn good. It's pretty good. But we just got to keep getting better in some of those other areas.
All right. Welcome back to the evolution of Sports Talk Television, live here on the Hub, on I Love St. Pete, on Amped Up Sports. I'm your host, Peter Blake, here taking your phone calls. Let's go out to Troy Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan legend. USF is not even in South Florida. They're friggin' in Central Florida. Do they know what geography is? Yes, they do. Obviously, you don't.
Shut up!
All right, want to go back to these BA comments and care of Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Of course, this comes from the report. Former Patriot player, now radio host Rich Ornberger. And he says, and this will be BA, I mean, this is such BS. That's what pisses me off. I guess probably Byron could corroborate too. Also, he says, of course, he tore his Achilles in January, pointed out a number of things that Orberger claims simply weren't true, while also heaping praise on Leftwich, one of the best offensive coordinators in the biz. First of all, I don't rehab my Achilles in the morning. I will go over the game plans and add things, but I don't delete anything. I don't have to because they do such a good job. BA also goes on to say, I see some things, add some things. It's an awesome collaboration, one of the best I've ever been around. And once again, as far as the red pin comment, I never heard of that one. That was the best one ever. That's pretty graphic to not know what you're talking about. So take it for what it's worth. We've given you both sides of the story tonight. There are sources that are kind of saying there was some friction, but who knows? This is kind of what we heard once again when Brady left New England in the first place. He wasn't happy with Belichick. It was too buttoned up. And now we hear, well, it's not buttoned up enough. Well, which is it? I don't know. Maybe it's just the fact that Brady retired because he wanted to. And we're going to see here in the next couple weeks. I think you're going to start to hear more rumors come out about what the Bucs are going to do in this plan going forward, especially at the Combine, because that's when the general managers start to get together, and that's when you start to hear rumors. That's what you heard last year, or a couple years ago, not last year. Say a couple years ago. Remember the door? What's behind door number 2? BA's comment? So we heard some of those things. I think there's going to be something that's going to transpire here in the next couple weeks for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Troy Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan Legend SC. Roger Shu is mad at me because I made more sales than him today. Once again, fake news.
Shut up!
I don't know where Roger Shu is, but obviously you talk more about him than anybody else on this show. So you guys must be buddies on the side or something. I don't know. Can't wait to see what happens next. I can't either. We'll be back on Wednesday night here. Keep it here on Amped Up Sports, the Hub, and of course, I Love St. Pete for the Sports Web. Want to go out to CBSSports.com, a mock draft. And this is also what Pewter Report has picked up on. Their projection for the Bucs, because, of course, we're talking draft already, would be a wide receiver by the name of Treylon Burks from Arkansas. 6'3", 225. The Bucs could be looking to upgrade the quarterback position here, but they may be willing to re-sign Blaine Gabbert or see what Kyle Trask has. Whomever ends up under center, he'll need some weapons. Chris Godwin could hit free agency, and currently only Mike Evans, Jalen Darden, Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson, and Cyril Grayson are under contract, not to mention that Rob Gronkowski could follow Tom Brady out the door. Burks, meanwhile, is a special talent who plays with a physicality of Anquan Bolden, but has the wills to outrun anyone down the field. So we'll see what the 40 time is. Because as much as Leo would like to say, you know what, the combine doesn't mean anything, we know how people go crazy for that 40 time and how somebody could be there 27, run a high 40 time, and then next thing you know, oops, they're in the top 15. We've seen it. So we'll see how that works out. Let's go out to Troy Polamalu, King Troy. He's mad because you and Harry didn't do a show on Friday. Once again, fake news.
Shut a shitter!
And you ruin his night. I doubt it. I think he just took off for the night. Sometimes you just need a break. And, that's one of the top stories of the day. Juwan Howard is going to get a break. And it's not going to be a Kit Kat. It's going to be about 5 games for the rest of the season. Do you agree with it? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. I go back and forth on it. I watched the replay a million times. A guy is pissed off. He's upset. He's trying to state his point. He's already angry because he has that competitive fire. He's played the game. We saw him play with the Fab Five, right? And he felt like the coach for Wisconsin was taking advantage of the situation, trying to put it in his player's face. And he wanted to talk about it. And he didn't want to talk about it. He wanted to yell about it. It does not help the situation. In fact, it escalates the situation, if I can say it, when you grab another man's arm. Don't grab my arm when I'm upset. I won't grab your arm. Nobody should be touching each other in that situation besides shaking hands. That's about it. That's why the situation went off the rails. So what do you think? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Troy Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan Legend SC. Free Jawan. And Christopher Cole says, I haven't seen it yet. We'll watch it. Go YouTube it. Tell me what you think. We'll be back on Wednesday night. Like I said, we may be having a show on Tuesday night from USF. We'll see. But I think we're going to wrap it up here. Thanks a lot to all the guests. JP Peterson of the JP Peterson Show. Once again, every day in the morning, 10 to 12 on FanStream, YouTube, and of course, Facebook. Thanks to the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, a part of this Amped Up Sports Network. Love it. And like I said, the future is bright for it. And of course, Jason Powers on Sports Podcast. Once again, we'll be back on Wednesday night at 9 o'clock here, live on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. 3 things here. We'll wrap it up. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blank. Have a great night.
Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
Hey everyone, I'm Reagan Weiss along with
Joey Deeb, co-founders
of The Hub.
I'd just like to start off by prefacing this by saying it's not just us. It's all of our core members of this group that made this. We have a lot of people that have worked hard, put their blood, sweat, and tears into this. Can't mention all of them because there's so many, but we love you all.
Yeah, I can't thank you enough for every single one of you, and you know who you are, to be involved with this. And a lot of people are asking, why? Why The Hub? Let me tell you why the Hub. The Hub is a place that not just business owners are going to collaborate. It's where our community members are going to collaborate, where ideas are bounced off of one another. We just want to help people. We want to be there. We want to unify not just our businesses, but we want to unify our community. We don't want to hear about the negativity. We don't want to hear. There are so many other places out there that you could hear about the negativity in our community, and this will not be the place.
Our group can be a basis for so many different resources for so many different trades and industries. It's not just isolated to one specific trade or construction or cleaning or any of that. Everybody can come to the Hub to get actual references from real people using these business and utilizing them to see what kind of experiences they've had.
Now, the key word is collaboration, right? And you see that a lot lately, like collaboration. Well, it really is about collaboration. If I didn't know to collaborate with my friends behind the camera, Jordan Long, if I didn't know how to collaborate with all these other people, all these individuals involved, you wouldn't know about us because of those people. Strength are in numbers. So just like Joey said, it's every industry. We want to hear from how your experiences were with your restaurants. We want to hear your cleaning people, your contractors, your roofing companies. I mean, every industry out there, your masseuses, your salon. We want to hear real experiences from real people. And one more thing, very, very important, we're not going to allow networking. When we say networking, I just want to be very specific on this. And people say, oh, well, you're kind of pushing people away. No, we're not, because there are specific network groups that post and tag people without ever utilizing their business. And we don't want that. We want real experiences.
You're not forced to recommend somebody simply because you're in the same group.
Right.
And that's what we want. And it's not just about business either.
Right.
It's about charity and giving. We want a local hub for events to help people.
We appreciate you. We love you. We thank you. Look for Hub ads on the radio. Look for the Hub bus on the Pasco County Public Transportation System. Look in Facebook and please share this, and let's grow this positive thinking, forward momentum community. We love you, Tampa Bay.
Join the Hub and grow with us.
See you soon.
BetUS.com. If you guys are betting on the games, whether it's NFL, NCAA, of course, you're not going to do that now. Maybe basketball, not football, but of course, the NHL, NBA, go to BetUS.com. You get a 125% sign-up bonus. And also, if you use this code right here, the promo code of TSW22, which, by the way, stands for the sports web, TSW22, or call that number 1-800-69-BET-US. Again, 1-800-69-BET-US, and put in that promo code TSW22, and I would really appreciate that.
I've had 27 beers spilled on me. Make that 28.
I've only got one place to go before the game.
BetUS.com.
Sign up at BetUS.com and